Micro betting is becoming big business for sports betting platforms like DraftKings and FanDuel, with some estimates putting the growing market at 50% of all bets placed this year on mobile apps. Our next guest believes micro betting and the larger in-game betting trend could reach $14 billion by the end of the decade. Joining me now is Jordan Bender, Citizens JMP Senior Equity Research Analyst. Jordan, it is always good to see you. For the uninitiated, Jordan, when we talk about micro betting, let's start there. Walk us through what micro betting is and what are some examples?
Yeah, good to see you as always. So, the way that this industry was formed was parlays and legalization. So as we sit here today, 62% of the US population has access to sports betting. And then the introduction and really, appreciation of the parlay bet. So adding multiple bets onto one bet slip. Those have been the drivers of revenue 7 years into this industry. But as we look forward, what's to come? In-play betting particularly will be a growth segment for these companies, DraftKings and FanDuel, some of the larger sports betting companies. And as we dig deeper into that trend, in-play betting is an area that we think will be a major driver of revenue. Really what in-play betting is what is going to be the next pitch of a baseball game? In an NFL game, is it going to be a pass or is it going to be a run? And these are engagement tools. As revenue, is growing at a very rapid pace over the last 5 to 7 years, operators like DraftKings and FanDuel will look to micro betting and in-play type betting to drive engagement for leagues, for teams, for team valuations, and they're going to benefit through the rapid growth here.
And in-play betting, Jordan, how big could that become and how fast is it growing?
Yeah, so we estimate that the total sports betting market in the United States is going to reach about $28 billion by the end of the decade. Right now, in-play betting is actually a small percentage. It's, well, not as small, but 30 to 40%. And what I mean by small is in more mature markets, that number is closer to 70 or 80% of total betting. And the reason why it hasn't gone to mature level market status yet is because parlay style betting, which is traditionally, before the game, has seen rapid adoption. But again, as that starts to slow, as adoption of parlays starts to decelerate a little bit, you're going to see in-play betting become more prevalent. And we estimate that it's going to go from about 30 to 40% of betting up to about 50 to 60% of betting. If we take our $28 billion addressable market by the end of the decade, you can get to a number where total in-play betting, so from whistle to whistle, is about $14 billion. Kind of going back to the original question of micro betting, where does that fall into play here? That's a relatively younger, newer type of betting product that could reach up to 10% of overall in-play betting. As we look at the companies that are best positioned for this, DraftKings just acquired a company called Simple Bet. That's really to bring the technology in-house, the algorithms, the technology to drive in-play betting and micro betting even further. So as the large bellwethers of the group start to realize there's a large revenue potential in the coming years in play and micro betting, and you're starting to see capital allocated into that space, we think that's going to be an extremely attractive way to own the sports betting market in the coming years.
And Jordan, when we talk about in-play betting and the potential growth there, what are the risks, though, we should think about as well? For example, what if regulators decide, hey, we're going to start more aggressively looking into this area? Is that a potential risk?
Yeah, I think if we look at the recap from 2024, the underlying fundamentals extremely strong. Customer acquisition strong, cost per acquisition very strong. On the other side of it, we've seen a lot of consumer protection start to bubble to the surface. Regulators who just kind of pushed through sports betting in the last couple of years are now taking a look and saying, we kind of pushed sports betting through. How are we going to further protect people? And in-play betting and especially micro betting, these are rapid forms of betting per se. So this could be an area for regulated wallet that people are spending. This could be an area that could have a spotlight shined on in the coming years. The other example here is Minnesota doesn't currently have sports betting, but they don't actually want, they're looking at it this year, they actually don't want to implement in-game betting, for those reasons. I think that there's a little bit of a misnomer behind in play and the amount that you actually spend. But, as regulators look at this industry, I definitely think there could be some risk to that growth. And that is a risk to the overall thesis behind owning some of these companies.
Jordan, always good to see you on the program. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good to talk.